I'd like to thank Asialink for this opportunity to talk to you about our government's strategy for engagement with Asia. Now, with just one Asian nation, China, taking around 40% of Australia's exports in value, there's no doubt that growth in the economy and jobs are reliant on strong engagement with Asia. And since our election in 2011, we've made significant progress, I think, in positioning New South Wales and Sydney as the first place for Asian nations and businesses to do business. Now, we started with a clear strategic plan, New South Wales 2021, in which the first and most important goal is to grow the New South Wales economy. And we have in that document set measurable targets, including trade and business investment growth, as well as specific sector objectives around tourism, export education, resources and professional services. And I can tell you that our ministers actually have KPIs based on these objectives and targets in the plan, and they are held accountable. But it's all about building long-term relationships with those key Asian markets. And I find that the first visit's very nice, people are very friendly. The second visit, they're a little bit more friendly and they start to talk business. The third visit, even better. So you've got to be in it for the long haul. You've got to turn up and you've got to build those relationships. With super missions like Australia Week in China, led by Prime Minister Abbott recently, which was undoubtedly a wonderful opportunity to boost our national brand and show the strength of the states and territories working together, I think as a state, we have to play to our strengths. We have to, emphasise quality over quantity. We have to target particular governments, whether that's provincial or central or even municipal governments, and target businesses in key Asian markets. Some of the other work we've been doing in Asia includes helping New South Wales producers and food manufacturers, because everywhere I go, it's about food security and a recognition in those markets that we do produce very good quality, clean, sustainable agricultural and other food products. We're helping our producers to get their products on supermarket shelves in Asia through targeted engagement with supermarket chains. Now, just as New South Wales companies seek to do business in Asia, we also welcome Asian companies that want to establish here because they create jobs and they build partnerships with local businesses. And our message, as I mentioned before, is that New South Wales is open for business. And some of the results are really encouraging. Sydney, of course, is known as a major financial hub in the Asia Pacific, which is why 60 of the 64 international banks in Australia are based here in Sydney. An Asian example, the top 4 Chinese commercial banks all have their Australian headquarters here in Sydney. The presence of those banks encourages Chinese investment into Australia, and hopefully particularly New South Wales. It facilitates bilateral trade and can also provide capital to non-Chinese originated projects here in Australia. And with the direct currency conversion between the Australian dollar and the renminbi, I think that activity is going to only increase. Now, education I mentioned briefly earlier. It's actually New South Wales' second largest export earner, but of course it's much more significant than that. We are privileged in New South Wales that families and students from so many countries put their faith in our state, our community and our education system. Now, Asian students, particularly from China, but also India, Korea and Southeast Asia, account for the largest number of international enrolments in New South Wales. And I love meeting these young people, and they're terrific young people. They tell me that they experience generosity, openness and respect during their studies. This is one of the great strengths, I think, of Sydney. It really is a multicultural city of a global standing. And so for international students, they just love it here. They form a lifelong bond, I think, with New South Wales and Sydney that can't be simply measured in terms of export revenue alone, because many of these young people, of course, go on to become future leaders or entrepreneurs back in their home nations or even staying here in Australia. I think if we're to fully seize the opportunities for partnerships and growth, we all have to develop a better understanding of Asia, become more Asia literate, and as Asialink sets out to do, build an Asia capable Australia.